Good Packer Nation game day morning. It's victory, or not game day, it's Victory Monday morning. I guess I'm still basking in the sunlight of the Packers win. How does it feel to be NFC North Champs? It's not our ultimate goal, but it's a good step in the right direction. Last night, Packers getting her done against the Detroit Lions. Let me know who you are, where you're coming at me from. We'll do a little Packer Nation roll call as we get on today. Keegan is here. Hashtag run the new table. A new table is laid out before the Packers. It's time to go. Tristan is here, says go Pack go. Hey there, Amanda. Good to see ya. Maurice is here. Yeah, I just got off Cheesehead Radio with Brian Caribou. We had collaborated a long time ago, but it was good to get on his show, Railbird Central. I recommend it. It's great for me to hear a real Wisconsin accent because I don't feel like I have one anymore. Hey there, Eddie, MJ, Tim, Gloria is here, and Robert as well. I missed a few. I apologize. Daniel is here. Oh, yeah. Daniel's having a good Monday morning. Hey, from Illinois. All right. Right down there in Chicago, Bears land. We got somebody from Maryland, sorry. Marcus is here. Jamie as well. Yeah, great discussion with Brian this morning. Really basically kind of trying to nail down the injury situation, which is going to be interesting moving forward, of course, not just on the defensive side of the ball, but the offensive side of the ball also. There should be a link to it. I put a link to the live stream. And I don't know if it went live properly or not, but Peter, hashtag run the new table. Virginia and Andrew are on. Andrew from Michigan. Sue and Casey. Dawn and Patrick. Patrick right in Madison. What a great, it's probably a pretty good town to be in right now would be Mad City. That's where Brian's at, I believe. Kind of where I wish I was right now. Yeah, Packers got her done. Let's just, you can emoji me your thoughts. I went back and I looked at the first half of this game, and I'm very happy that the Packers have a home game coming up after the way we saw them. They came out flat. Like flat because we had all these false start penalties it was off the charts. It was ridiculous. And it took to the second half to really dial it in. By the end of the first half in this game, and Mike's mentioning that too, by the end of the first half in this game, there was a lot of anger in Packer Nation. It's like, hey, let's get it together, guys. We continually shot ourselves in the foot. But in that, when you make your own mistakes, now, part of that had to do with the crowd. The crowd was loud there. Of course, at the end, the crowd was chanting, go Pack go, which I like. But, we got a little ahead of ourselves. We made a few mistakes. But at least in this game, we were able to come out with a win. We came out in the second half, made our corrections. We settled down. And now we're headed back to Lambeau to play the Giants. It's not going to be an easy game, but it is going to be fun to watch. And that's the place I want to be. Throw a heart up on the screen if you wanted to play this game at Lambeau with the Giants. It's kind of a rhetorical question, but I said on Brian's show, I think there was a vast difference between this team waking up with all the injuries in the morning and saying to themselves, oh man, we almost won the North. We almost ran the table. Now we got to fly to Seattle. And them saying, listen, there were a bunch of injuries. We're going to have to get that sorted out as far as availability is concerned. But we won the North and we're headed home. I think that dichotomy was critical this year, I think, and Mike McCarthy mentioned it. He said, he was asked about the celebration. He said the celebration wasn't the best celebration we've had around here winning the North. He said, because our players are gassed. We had a lot of guys pressed into service for a lot of reps. When you lose players like that, the rotation becomes a problem. And conditioning then steps in. And these guys got it done, and this morning they know we're traveling back to Lambeau Field for a playoff game. Playoff games at Lambeau are pretty awesome. Of course, Sherry, thank you for mentioning it. One of the very first things we want to do today is put it out there that, our thoughts, our prayers are with Quentin Rollins, Demarius Rollins. With Rollins right now, that injury, it looked like his neck got bent really awkwardly. And we have seen as Packer fans how critical, how a neck injury can just flat end a career. So, of course, to the family, to Quentin, we want to say get well soon. We hope that everything is fine. Of course, we'll learn more as we go along. But certainly, I don't think anyone in Packer Nation is expecting or assuming he's going to be available. We just want to hope for the best and prepare for the worst in that situation. But certainly, the most important thing being just that he gets healthy. And the good news being, I mentioned this last night after the game, that he was mobile and he was talking. So that's very good news. And I see Mike mentioning Lacey. It was Lacey. We had a string of them, Jermichael Finley, and we had the wide receiver a while back. Is there any love out in Packer Nation for Aaron Ripkowski this morning, this Victory Monday morning? Who would have thought Aaron Ripkowski was going to have 9 rushes for like 61 yards and a touchdown in the air? Yeah, you can put a rip on the screen in the comment line if you want. I am all for it. I love what Aaron Ripkowski has meant to this, and he has garnered high praise. You can go over to Brian's show and hear me sort of explain why. There's 2 very important reasons, I think, why I am very high on Aaron Ripkowski right now. Keegan says, Rip the Reaper. I have never seen a tougher dude look so much like Santa Claus. And I think that's a good thing. But the thing is, Aaron Ripkowski made good reads in this game. And he is not going to be super nifty laterally, but he does enough to turn a solid stick into an arm tackle, and nobody is arm tackling Aaron Ripkowski. Now, does that not come into play, playing the Giants at Lambeau Field on regular grass in the outdoors? Very important. And we still got Ty Montgomery in the mix. I'm still waiting for Christine Michael to show me something. I keep thinking he might have a breakout game. This is the one, if you had asked me and you said, Ty Montgomery, he's going to do okay, but there's a guy that's going to have 9 carries for 61 yards. I would have thought it might have been, you're telling me the future, and it's a Christine Michael breakout game. Like, he has a really quite good game because he showed something in the past, but it's never been for a full game. And Brad is saying we need a huge game from the defense next week. And I'm going to try to thumbs up some of these. It's not working too well. But yeah, for sure. And this defense moving forward, one thing I do want to say on the positive vein, even though, I thought in the first half we didn't look good. But up until the very end of this game, and the end of this game was starting to look way too much like the Seahawks game from a few years back. But up until the end of this game, the Packers defense held the Lions to 17 points. That is the key. Dom Capers plays, tries to keep things in front of him, et cetera, et cetera. We've seen it. Now we're dealing with all the injuries. We're going to get, I think moving forward, we're going to struggle against good quarterbacks with great wide receiver cores now, and that has the Giants written all over it. And the Giants were able to run the ball against Washington now. And the Lions were able to run the ball against us. So our defense has to take another step. Somehow they got to dig deep, and they got to take another step if we're going to be successful moving forward, because we don't even know who's going to be available at this time. Any love for Micah Hyde out there with the big-time interception? That was a crazy pick. I mean, it was pure instinct. He pinned the guy to the corner and he turned around. The ball is like right there. Very similar to the Clay Matthews non-interception. Pure reflex. And I said Micah Hyde is going to get because they were bad-mouthing him when he came in and had to play cornerback because we didn't have anybody. So yeah, the defense is going to have to step up. It only gets tougher from here. And we had some bad play. We had some fundamentally bad play in this game. But again, the most important thing, and Matthew Stafford had a couple of missed passes that could have been big plays. That's concerning to me. But Matthew Stafford's one of the better quarterbacks we're going to meet. You look forward, it's hard to look beyond the Giants right now, so I guess I just won't do it. But, Eli Manning, for crying out loud, he's up, he's down, he's in, he's out. But when Eli Manning comes to Lambeau Field, what is in the water? He always seems to find a way. They have kind of had our number of late. It's time to break that streak, and the defense is going to have to play a part. I said this morning, I really think this is Aaron Rodgers' team right now. We know the situation on defense, and on defense, it doesn't look like the situation's going to improve a whole lot. On offense, on the other hand, depending on what happens with Bulaga and Spriggs, we have been getting a little bit healthier. But I think Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packer offense is going to, moving forward, need to outscore teams for us to have success at this point. And I see a comment from MJ. Anybody like what Geronimo Allison did last night? Now, Aaron Rodgers, he's a rookie, undrafted, whatever. But he's been a difference maker in the last couple games with Randall Cobb not able to go. We said on this show before the season began, that was one of the positive things. You're only really as good. In the NFL, most defenses can take a number one and a number two and find a way. They might have to help them out, but they can usually control your number one, your number two somehow. They have to commit resources to it. If you got a Jordy Nelson, you saw the Lions committed the resource. That was part of the reason that Aaron Ripkowski had the success he had, because of what the Lions had to do. But so the saying goes, you're only as good as your third wide receiver. Well, Geronimo Allison is, to some extent, he's the beneficiary of what teams have to do to minimize the threat of Jordy Nelson and Devontae Adams now. But that said, when your third receiver is making plays, you're, as a defensive coordinator, unless they can't run the ball, which is what the situation we had earlier, you are banging your head against the wall. You only have so many resources against this Packer offense right now. So I don't know if I've said it, but Brett brought it up, so I'm going to mention it. Does anybody have a heart or something? I'm going to extend it and push it a little bit. A heart to say Aaron Rodgers for MVP right now. I don't know if they wait till the end of the season, and so it may be determined by how it all ends, for sure. Michael's worried about the right side of the field. I think, and the problem is, it doesn't look like we're going to get anybody back. It doesn't look like that situation's going to get easier. We need, and I just don't see it, because I don't see a body type that is as impressive. But what we need is a Ty Montgomery. What Ty Montgomery did to the offense really kickstarted our offense. Stepping up, maybe having to move positions. I think the closest thing we have there is Micah Hyde, who is, I called him the Swiss Army knife of our team. He's in the punt game too. He's returning punts and everything. Okay, and Aaron's saying MVP gets voted on this week. So it is, I thought it was dependent on the actual season, but yeah, at this point, that's where Aaron Rodgers may or may not get the nod. But frankly, if he doesn't, Aaron Rodgers is going to get pissed enough. He's just going to go out there and get a Super Bowl win and a Super Bowl MVP. So, whatever happens in terms of the league MVP race, I'm interested in it. But I made the comment, Aaron Rodgers took this team on his shoulders, not only on the field, but off it. Dak Prescott, Matt Ryan, Tom Brady. Tom Brady should be out, in my opinion, number one, just de facto. You shouldn't be in the race if you spent 4 games sitting on the sidelines because you violated the league rules and then did everything you could to get around the suspension and ended up being suspended anyway. I think you should be out for that season, period. But Dak Prescott had the best offensive line, the best running back in football, which is another MVP candidate, Ezekiel Elliott. None of those guys had to stand up in front of the press and get basically lambasted and just calmly stand there and say, guys, I think we can run the table. and feel the echo of that and the ripple effect that that had on this team. Aaron Rodgers saved this team. And Gary's saying MVP race doesn't get us to the Super Bowl, and I agree. I mean, like I say, I'm interested. I want Aaron to get it. I mean, without a doubt. But if Aaron doesn't, you know he's going to take it personal. That's one thing Aaron Rodgers does. He takes it personal. And this team right now, I mean, it just looks like it's standing and falling on the arm of Aaron. Not just the arm, but the arm, the legs, and the attitude and leadership of Aaron Rodgers, which to me defines MVP. You cannot tell me that Dak Prescott ticks all those boxes. So yeah, Mike, a chip on the shoulder might not be a bad thing, actually. But I know there's a lot of love for Aaron Rodgers out there. You know, Rodgers, 27 of 39 in this game, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. And it's not just that his stats are great. The Detroit defense did everything they could have wanted to do in the first half of this game. Aaron Rodgers' presence in the pocket is phenomenal right now. His escapability we know about, and ability to extend plays, but maybe I could get a little love. I don't know anyone else who stood up in front of any of the people in the blogosphere, whatever there was. I said Aaron Rodgers is going to run for a bunch of first downs in this game. When he sees the name on the back of a jersey, he is not going to be afraid to run it. Not just in a touchdown situation where you got a red zone offense and that flip seems to happen more readily because defenders are so concerned about that touchdown pass, like we saw Xavier Rhodes against Minnesota. But that Aaron Rodgers with 40-plus yards. Ty Montgomery with almost 50 yards in this game. Aaron Rodgers with almost 50 yards in this game. Aaron Ripkowski with 61 yards in this game. This offense is becoming, again, an absolute headache. Uh-oh, we even have a GOAT comment now. Ooh, I don't know if I want to go there or not, but it's a good comment. A couple more Super Bowls, and Aaron Rodgers is in the greatest of all times category, or running, or discussion. So I don't know if I want to go there just yet, and you didn't either because you said why not yet. Let's get one. I bet I could get a heart. Let's just get one. Or a thumbs up. Let's just get one right now. Let's just concentrate on getting one. One game against the Giants. Hey, my bro Chad is on. It says morning. Quite a game last night. Absolutely. Chad, you make me puke, dude. The talent and he's funny as crap, too. So jealousy, big time jealousy. Glad to see you, though. Miss you, man. Dustin is here, picking the end zone by number 3. Hey, Dustin, great comment. We talked about it a little bit earlier. And listen, if you ask the question about how we go forward on the Packers defense, I think Micah Hyde plays a very key role. And Hyde is one of the smartest players out there. He can play any position. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think the outlook is great for our defensive backfield, but we do have to call attention to the fact that we have a great safety duo back there. We got Micah Hyde. From there on, we're going to have to kind of stitch some things together. And we are at that critical juncture where if we lose anybody, and depending on who we get back, there are going to be packages we can't even put on the field. But that is where great teams shine, ladies and gentlemen of Packer Nation. That is where great teams shine. This Packer team right now. It's one thing to win the Super Bowl when you have all the talent, you have all the future Hall of Famers, and we've got a few of those, I think. But when you are decimated with injury and you scratch and claw your way back, that signifies an absolutely great team. And it starts Sunday. Another good thing, right? Guys, Packers get to play rather than Saturday away, Sunday at Lambeau. A little bit of extra rest is nothing to sneeze at. Although, I don't know if we don't know how it's going to factor into, that small amount of time, but hey, we'll take whatever we can get. Mike says if we win, Ted stays. Man, the comments are rolling by. I'm probably missing everything. Maybe I should I got a couple comments on 2010 all over again, and I'm just going to say one thing that I prefer. I like better than 2010 right now. And that is that in 2010, the Packers, as the 6th seed had to play away for 3 games in a row. I'm sure there's some people out there that agree with me. I'm really, really happy. Even though it does remind me of 2010, and especially in terms of the injury situation and the way that Aaron Rodgers has handled this team. But this home game at Lambeau, I really think that is critical to this team getting a chance to sort of catch its breath at this point. We're not going to get super healthy, I don't think. And that's going to, that's going to be tough. If and when we get to the game, say, against a team like the Cowboys that is at all the rest in the world. But the other side of that was when we went in 2010, we had to play games every week. We stayed in the groove of preparation. And taking time off can get you healthy, but it can also get you cold and stale. And this Cowboys team, we've been looking for it all year, and I've got to give credit to the rookies, Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott. My talk about the MVP race, I don't want to take anything away from them because what they did was hard to do. I think it was made easier by an absolutely awesome offensive line, but I'm still waiting for that little rookie snafu. And guys, the Giants beat these guys twice. So that means including a home game. Add to that the fact that the Packers know how to win at Arlington in the Cowboys' new stadium. We've done it in a little game you call the Super Bowl, 2010, right? Well, 2011, I guess it was at the time. But you know what I mean. There's a lot of questions about Lacey out there, too, so I guess I'll just feel that. Lacey's obviously not going to be back this year. Contract year, I think it's going to come down to money. I think Lacey, the good thing, I think, because here's my, I'll just tell you, I hope Lacey's back. I mean, he's got to stay in shape. That's one of the things, but I hope Lacey's back. Kristen Michael, or Eddie Lacy, Ty Montgomery, Kristen Michael, Ripkowski. That's a great group to choose from at that point, as far as I'm concerned. Now, I thought by now that Kristen Michael would be a really strong part of this offense. That hasn't really come out, but he hasn't had a whole lot of reps yet, and he may not really truly understand all the blocking schemes just yet. Mike says he's finished. I don't think he's finished by any stretch of the imagination. I think there are tons of teams that would pay to have Eddie Lacy on their team, tons of them. I think his leverage has been lessened by the injury. Going on IR this year, I guarantee he'll have a job. If you mean he's finished in Green Bay, that could very well be the case. Ted Thompson's not going to overpay for this guy after the injury. But what I would like to see is Eddie Lacy go out there, maybe struggle to find a home, or maybe like Randall Cobb, get an offer, but he's willing to take a little less and be back with the Packers. I mean, without a doubt, Eddie Lacy was playing good football. He was our best offensive player when we played the Cowboys last, as far as I'm concerned. So we'll see, but that's sort of neither here nor there. I'm kind of surprised there's so much interest in Lacy right now. I guess maybe you guys are like me. I've been this way too because I've already been thinking about the draft. I don't want to think about the off season, but I'm already thinking about it moving forward somehow. And Kyle is mentioning we've got this rumor, all right? Let's talk about this because this is worth talking about. I'm going to be very clear about what I think about this rumor. Number one, it's a rumor. So if anybody gets on, anybody can say it's not going to happen or there's no legitimacy, that's completely out of my control. Rumor is, and it came out this week, that Ted Thompson is going to step down to a lesser role, something along the lines of maybe a senior scouting advisor, something like this. I don't know, whatever you call it, whatever you're going to call it. And Elliot Wolf is going to take over as general manager this offseason. And I have got to say, I am 100% for that move for several reasons. I think we do need new blood. I think Elliot Wolf, we're going to lose him if we don't move him up. We've been trying to move him up in increments, but we're going to lose him if we don't move him up. However, and I don't care what anybody thinks about this, it's true. If the rubber band effect, and Packer Nation is terrible about this, it is much more easy to cuss yourself over in free agency than it is to make a hit. And Elliott Wolf gets in there. I agree we need some new blood. I agree we need to do more in free agency. But it's a dangerous, dangerous thing to do. Ted Thompson going down and filling a role that suits his strengths and takes him out of his weaknesses. Ted Thompson is a great talent advisor, I can't think of the word I'm looking for. I know you guys can. Ted can evaluate talent. Evaluator is what I'm trying to come up with. All right? But he doesn't like the press, and he doesn't like the pub, and he suffers a lot of criticism. But he works hard. So if Elliott Wolf is ready and Elliott Wolf is willing, he's a little younger, he's ready to take on that sort of thing. He needs a new challenge. And the other thing is, this could legitimately be consensual on both sides. Not that Thompson is forced into this position. Ted Thompson's getting up there. This kind of a job is taking its toll on him, and especially the parts of it that he doesn't like. So Ted Thompson could be on board with this to say, hey, listen, if I can get out of the spotlight, let me just do what I love to do. I'm getting close to retirement, and I feel like I've done a lot of good for this Packers organization. But I don't want to get canned. If I get canned, do I retire? What team do I go to? He could get a job. I guarantee you that. A lot of teams would kill to have Ted Thompson. Without a doubt. This scenario, I hope it plays out. I think it'd be fantastic for us. Joey says change is good, and I agree. I'm in total agreement, but I do want to I always put the same caveat. Change, and hopefully you guys got your ears on right now, because I've seen this, I've taught this, I've tried to drill this through because it's true in all of life. Change is stressful. It causes distress, regardless of whether it is good or bad. So there would be a transition. Just think what having Ted Thompson there. And if it's not like some kind of punitive move, Ted Thompson's going to be totally on board and help Elliott Wolf. To me, this could be, I'm tempted. I'm not going to quite make the analogy, but I am going to say it reminds me a little bit of Brett Favre handing off the ball to Aaron Rodgers, except it being consensual, not being as weird as it was. If Ted Thompson can pass the torch to Elliott Wolf, and it's a good thing. It's a sort of collaborative idea that they come up with. I got to be honest. I think that would be fantastic. And as Ron Wolf's son, it makes so much sense for the organization not to let him go in a sense. So yeah, that's where I'm at on that. You can emoji me if you think I'm crazy or it makes you angry, but I think a lot of people are on board. The question, of course, is it even a real rumor? Is it going to happen? It's buzzing out there. There's something to it, but there's hopefully a lot of football to be played, and we won't have to worry about it for a long time. I see Annette on there. Hi. So yeah, folks, I love the distribution in the running game. What a headache for defensive coordinators with, Ripkowski 61 yards, Montgomery 44, Rodgers 42, Christian Michael just was 6. But you saw the effect already that linebackers are peeking to Aaron Rodgers on handoffs now. And with Aaron Ripkowski taking the ball, and we've seen they have an option play in the book, and you see the linebacker peek in, that's all it takes for Ripkowski to find a little bit of a seam, get skinny, and turn a solid stick in the backfield. We saw that exact play into an arm tackle, which he breaks and ends up with 4 yards. Guys, I can't tell you how important Aaron Rodgers being healthy and fearless to run the ball is right now. I knew on that fast field, I knew Aaron Rodgers was going to be confident in it. So what else, guys? It's Victory Monday. I talked about this last night, but we have to talk about your predictions. I enter today's Good Packer Nation morning show with a pretty big head. Now, I can't get a big head. It's like Coach McCarthy said, dealing with your success is harder than dealing with your failure. But I said 35-24 Packers in this game. And if this team had done anything hardly in the first half, but I nailed the Detroit score on the noggin, and a lot of people thought that the defensive backfield wasn't going to hold them. And they did, and to some extent, the defensive backfield, I'm not saying they're not still, definitely a concern at this point. And I have this feeling that that's not going to go away, guys. I think you guys have the feeling too. That's why it pops up so much. Rick Motti's on. Hope you're doing well. Happy New Year, brother. Mentioning Geronimo is going to be a stud. Here's the problem, because I'm hoping Randall Cobb comes back, but I'm afraid that Geronimo will just disappear at that point because we won't put him in. I've seen it happen, and Cobb with the contract, he ain't going nowhere. Peter had 38-25. 35-24. That's all I'm saying, but that's good. That's good. My Fire fan folks are on here, man. I kind of got clobbered. I didn't drop out of the top 10 overall, I don't think, but you guys are too good. The game is Fire Fan. If you download it from the App Store, you can jump into our Packer Nation League, put in the code Get the Ring. We're playing for a trophy. I'm going to have to give away to somebody. It's not too late to get in. We're having a freaking blast. I was smack talking so much in there, and because the chat room is right tied with it, so you could just smack talk the whole time. It's freaking fun. Keegan says I'm 6th overall. Okay, all right. Makes me feel a little better. I'm calling Bryce the Oracle because somehow, man, you're killing me, dude. And you're not the only one. Jesse, I know I can't remember all the names. Everybody, Keegan, MJ. I can't think of all the names, so I'm trying. Maurice, coming from behind, getting back in the race. Because he missed the game, too, I think. Yeah. Peter, too. Jeez. You're killing me, folks. I'm going to have to... I wish I actually, own the game. I just play it and kind of help distribute it. Virginia, too, was ahead of me several times. But I'd like to go in and just have the power at least to just blitz you guys right now. All right, but yeah, 35-24, and it kind of went the way I thought in some regard. I thought that, I'm kind of torn because one of my arguments in this game was I thought that the Packers cornerback, the defensive backfield, was going to step up. Well, in the first half, the answer was clearly, Brady, you are a moron, okay, at that point, right? But give me a thumbs up if I don't get a little credit because, listen, they held them to 17 points all the way to the end of the game. And look at the injury. I mean, who could have predicted the injuries that were going to happen in this game? I mean, we couldn't even find a guy. We were going to have a water boy playing cornerback. At one point, I was in the Fire Fan chat room, and I'm like, listen, we need Ty Montgomery to play cornerback for us. And really, when you look at this game, the Detroit Lions at home playing, they had everything to play for. Not just a home game, but historically they had to play for. And to hold them to 24 points, it got way more interesting than I'd like to see at the end of this game. But, this was very much, by the time all was said and done, I think it looked a lot like I thought it was going to look. Offensively, I especially call attention to the fact that Aaron Rodgers is going to have a significant portion of the offensive running game and some critical first downs. So, again, how does that help us moving forward? I don't know. But, man, I like Micah Hyde. He's had his moments from time to time, but he's doing a very hard job. And Micah Hyde has been doing this from the beginning. As the Swiss Army knife back there, they just say, Micah, we need somebody to play safety. Micah, he switched back and forth from safety and corner already. Now he's back there out having to play cornerback, because we just lost everybody, makes a big play, crucial play, as was mentioned in the comments earlier, with a big-time interception. Guys, that was not like, there are really good cornerbacks in the league that would have dropped that ball. It was just pure reflex. Virginia's mentioning Jacob Shum in this game. You know, the first half, I was like, Jacob Shum's our best player right now for a while there. It was, tongue-in-cheek a little bit. But, we're going to need him. We hung in there in the field position battle. We could very easily, especially with the penalties, have lost the field position battle. So one thing I think we need to talk about is our special teams. I think Micah Hyde gave us a little bit of spark. He didn't break anything, but he's a threat. Here's the thing. We had the penalties. Devontae Adams slam dunking over the goalpost. You just can't do that. We can't afford, because, listen, they brought that kick out because of that penalty. And if it wasn't for a shoestring tackle, that could have been a difference, a game-changing play right there. So we've got to cut that out. Now, I need to make a caveat on the Devontae Adams slam dunk that was a penalty. I thought, it's a bonehead thing to do. You can't do it. But that was a pretty sweet slam dunk. Can I have any love? Did anybody see? That was a nice spinning jam with the football over the goalpost. I was like totally ticked off at him at the time. I went back and looked at that play this morning, and I was like, dang, that boy got some ups, man. It was a spinning jam. He didn't really bring it down hard, so he didn't get a huge amount of, but I'm not sure how high those goalposts are right now. That's interesting. I should look that up. But to Devontae Adams, no, man, you can't do that because it hurts the team. But yeah, man, you are a freak of an athlete, dude, and we're going to need you. And, to some extent, the offense still kind of needed a spark. Virginia's saying don't encourage him. I know. I'll let the coaches take care of the disciplinary side of that. And tell him, go ahead and do the spin jams on your YouTube channel in the offseason while you're wearing your Super Bowl ring. How does that sound? I think that's a good, happy medium, because that was a thing of beauty out there. Even though I was pissed, man. I was so mad. And I know, hey, guys, we didn't really talk about Devontae Adams with 2 touchdowns, I think, in this game, right? I'm not mistaken on that. Yeah. 9-yard touchdown, 2 of them overall. He didn't have that many yards, but man, this guy. All right, let's do it this way. I want to take a Packer Nation poll right now. Well, it's not a poll when you're just talking about the good stuff, but is it not important to you, and maybe just throw up a heart if you're not happy about the fact that, we know Jordy Nelson is a red zone threat. We've seen Randall Cobb when he's healthy. We're not sure what the situation is there, that he's a red zone threat. We're hoping Jared Cook, who had a good game, had a few drops, but tough catches. But is it not great that Devontae Adams was a huge red zone threat in this game? For a team that might have to outscore opponents when our defense struggles, we know they're going to at times. I am loving Devontae Adams right now. I thought he had a fantastic game, and having him as a red zone threat in addition to everybody else that's really clicking. I mean, again, you've got the Detroit Lions get paid too. Everything was set up for them. The table was set for them in this game. And they were able to rattle Aaron Rodgers, get him a little bit off his spots. The offense was a little bit shaken. Then you add to that the fact that we were committing these stupid penalties. Some of them were stupid. Some of them had to do with the crowd noise. David Bakhtiari clearly was looking in, turned his head, had to listen, and brought his head up because of the noise. So you have all of these penalties. Add to that the fact that, and this is one thing I actually don't give the Packers a pass on, the holding penalties. The refs showed early on that they were going to call that tight, and you have to play what the kind of game the refs are calling. And the refs called it all the way through that way. Now, I have to ask the question, seriously, you're going to tell me that Clay Matthews, Nick Perry, Dayton Jones, and Julius Peppers were never held on in this game? However, again, just for the sake of argument, you got to play that. You got to play the game that they're calling to some extent. David says we need as many weapons as possible, and I agree. I think that's one of the keys to us continuing this streak. And you've seen it develop. It's the multiplicity of this offense, because our defense, we have our moments. We've got some good players on there. But we know the defense is going to be very thin at that cornerback position, and that is scary. With the table that the new, run the new table, right? The table that's set for us now. We know there's going to be times when we struggle. We're going to be angry with what somebody did. You know that. But again, overall, it's the score that counts. It's only going to get more difficult. Packers play the Giants. Peter's saying just play smart and avoid the penalties. Yeah. And that's another reason that I think the fact that the Packers are going home to Lambeau is extremely important. Because the last thing we would want to do right now is play at Seattle in that loud environment after a loss, flying across the country. How deflating that is for a team that just got done struggling with noise, with crowd noise. Eva, so cruel, said it would be nice if Clay could catch. Man, talk about a game-changing play that would have been. He got handcuffed with it, and part of me says he's a linebacker. It really snuck up on him. You don't expect the ball to hit you in the numbers as a defender. What I saw is his hands got turned because he got handcuffed. His hands got turned. But there's a difference between, it was similar to the Hyde catch because it was a surprise. It was right on the money. But the Hyde catch was a little lower into the belly where you curve around it and it got in and he got both hands around it. Clay Matthews' hands contacted it first and it looked like it may have either bounced off his chest or he had rock hand. Clay Matthews is going to have rock hands anyway. So you can't give him a pass. We need those, man. What a difference-making play that would have been. But yeah, the case in point. We need you to catch, buddy. And Jeff Scott Matthews, disappointing. Keegan's got to go. Talk to you later, man. Aw, Daddy's putting the daughter down for a nap. How cute. My daughter used to be little. It's pretty awesome, actually. But big now. Too big. Gets scary later on. All right. Peter says I called a touchdown on the one drive too. Touchdown or turnover. T.O. Looks like a D. Well, guys, we're going to be talking about this big matchup with the Giants all week long. Right now, Monday. It's a victory Monday. Let's just take a minute and it doesn't hurt us as fans to revel in this team, where it's gotten to in relationship to where it was, where it had to come from to get here. And Lee's make a great point. Great team win overall. Nobody wants to say that the cornerback position had a great performance, but in the light of the situation, this team brought it together. They were scrappy, and they found a way to keep this team out of the end zone enough for Aaron Rodgers to go ahead, once they got it together, and win it. And this was, Todd said Matthews was not only double-teamed, triple-teamed at times. And Andrew's calling attention that, I think Ladarius Gunter is going to have a big part to play in our success or failure. I'll just say the success side against the Giants. But this team has come an awful long way. And we are the NFC North Champions today. So let's take a day and just enjoy it. A victory Monday. And we'll get back tomorrow. We'll start digging into this matchup with the Giants. But guys, everything is in front of us right now. We know the defense. Wow, I don't know what that was. That sounded like a transformer just went. I don't know if you heard that. Huge. I could feel it. And I'm surprised my lights are still on because that sounded like a transformer went right now. It's an interesting caveat, but it's funny. I just said, we are the NFC North champs, and then boom. That was awesome. Man, I've been pulling stunts like this lately. It's a live show. Jeez. Last night, I got on. I had to do a show. I was so stoked about the win. And I got on, and the TV was playing behind me. I might get in trouble for this because I'm probably not supposed to do it. I apologize. Don't chastise me, NFL. I wasn't meaning to distribute anything, but the game was playing behind me, and people were calling attention to it in the comments saying, look over your shoulder. And it was Aaron Rodgers being interviewed. So I turned the sound back on of my TV, and like Aaron Rodgers goes, like makes this really final comment, and it was great to get a win and win the North today. And it was like perfectly lined up with the conversation. And then today we have fireworks go off for the Packers winning the North. I can't do it twice. You can't force these kind of things. Brian got 3 hours sleep, but it was worth it. I am running on nothing. I had to get up early, too, because I had to be on Brian's show. Never been on there before, so I really was trying to make sure I was somewhat prepared. And I did not get a lot of sleep either. So, yeah, we'll move forward on the Giants starting tomorrow. Same pack time, same pack place. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every one of you, those of you who watch on YouTube, and those who watch the live show. If you want to jump in our Fire Fan League, we're having a ton of fun. And the game is called Fire Fan. The league is Packer Nation. You'll see our GPN logo black and gold. Use the promo code GETTHERING. We're having a ton of fun. And I will see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, just enjoy this win. NFC North Champs, baby. Have a great day. Go Pack.